Hey guys, how's it going? It's Lark from Wellington here. Today we're going to be talking about ZenCash. No, this is not simply the money that the Dalai Lama touches. This is a new player in the privacy coin game. Of course, they're trying to bring much more than just being a privacy coin to the table. Communications, transactions, publishing, and more. They are trying to become a privacy platform, which I think gives them a lot of potential in the space. But we're going to be looking at what they're trying to do, what the competition is, all that fun stuff, trying to answer that age-old question, is this something we should be looking at or getting invested in or not? All that and more after a quick shout out to everyone who has been hitting that like button. And of course, everybody who has been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, button's just down there. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel real quick. And of course, if you want to support me over on steemit.com or become a patron over on Patreon, both will be very much appreciated. And of course, guys, this is not professional financial advice. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies. Let's get into it. Now, ZenCash is a fork off of Z Classic. Now, Z Classic has largely gone by the wayside. I think it's got about a $2 or $3 million market cap at the moment. And Z Classic is a fork off of ZCash. Of course, that means ZK snarks. Now, if you've been watching the privacy coin space, you know that ZK snarks are all the rage at the moment, guys. This is the very hot stuff. Now, of course, that is Zcash, but that is right across the board. Most privacy coins are implementing the zero knowledge protocol at the moment. Obviously, Ethereum has just been working on implementing that as well. So really big stuff here. Obviously, one of the best ways to shield your transactions is ZK snarks. So that is one of their big things they're bringing forward. Private communications. So I think it's a 1024 character private communication is possible. Now this could, I mean, imagine you want to, I don't know, buy a bag of weed, for example. I'm not saying that's what you should use it for, but this is a potential use case. You know, you want to send some messages back and forth to your dealer. Well, you can do that. You can do that. Private communications here, guys. And then, of course, you can pay using ZenCash. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's a use case for, you know, people who may be interested in such things. And, of course, secure and anonymous publishing. Now, that's really interesting. When I see this, I think whistleblowers. This lets whistleblowers do it in a very anonymous way because everything's been shielded. And it makes it near impossible for people to find out who that was, of course, unless, you know, they downloaded it from their desk or something silly like that. But if they take the proper steps, it could be a useful tool in that battle as well. Now, you can come and have a look through their white paper here, and they go a little bit more into some of their use cases. Proof of title for property, decentralized banking services, peer-to-peer and business-to-business asset exchange, mutual aid societies, peer-to-peer insurance, decentralized humanitarian aid mechanisms, because why not? Lots of different use cases for it. Obviously, again, as a exchange of value, privacy coins are absolutely taking off. And this is a privacy coin with added value proposition. Now, if we see Zcash and Monero, for example, they don't have added value propositions. They are just privacy coins, and they're super popular, and they have massive market caps. ZenCash is bringing more, but it has a very low market cap, which is very interesting. Now, look, they're bringing other things too, like, you know, Zen Hide. Obviously, you can block domains, for example. That's pretty interesting. That's for crypto commerce. Zen Pub. This is the publishing platform. Of course, ZenTalk is their messaging service that we were talking about there just a moment ago. One of their big value propositions as well, ZenCash is highly focused on good governance. They've looked around, they've taken some of the best ideas from some of the best currencies, and so they looked, for example, to Decred, and they thought, wow, Decred, that's a great governance system. And so they tried to copy some of those ideas that Decred has. And so they're focusing on governance as a service. Governance as a service, which is, of course, a very interesting idea. So they're also looking at operating DAOs. So these are distributed autonomous organizations, which will perform things like, you know, getting the websites up and running, running the voting system, and basically, you know, funding all of this So that's really good. Now, they will have a voting system. They really break down what the voting process is going to look like here. If you're interested, if you're a big ZenCash supporter, you're interested in the exact ins and outs of how that works, you can come over here and check this out. And it goes into how the voting process will work every time. Now, one thing to keep in mind, even though they're trying to decentralize thing and have this governance model where they give power back to the people, the core team may still veto a proposal, which doesn't sound like decentralized governance to me. I imagine they put that in there to stop some kind of potentially destructive thing from happening. They said this should almost never be done, but nevertheless, you know, it's not totally decentralized, free governance if a core team member can come in and say, hey, vetoed. So that's something to keep in mind. Something to keep in mind if you are getting into the ZenCash system. Open source, again, focused on transparency, good community, good governance. They've got this Zen support system, the Zen outreach system. So they want to have a Zen ambassador program, a Zen youth program, Zen entrepreneurs, Zen chapters all around the world, talking about and eulogizing about the good graces of the ZenCash. It's pretty interesting. Obviously, they're really focused on building their community. And look, if you've been in the crypto space for a while, if you've been looking at different coins, communities make or break coins. One of the reasons why PIVX has been so powerful, community. One of the reasons why Verge has, you know, been able to stick around so long and, you know, see some good growth, community. And if you can get that community, and their community has been growing over here at ZenCash. They've only been around for a few months, but they're already starting to grow that community. They have thousands of followers on Twitter, for example. The Reddit's very active. So that community is growing. Now, it is a mineable coin. It is a mineable coin. So if you have some GPUs sitting around, you want to start mining, you can look into mining ZenCash. You can look into mining ZenCash. That is pretty exciting stuff. So here's some of the details about mining ZenCash. Again, it's running on an Equihash algorithm. So again, this makes it GPU mineable, right? 88% of the rewards do go to the miners for each block. And there is a certain percentage that does go to secure node operators. So there's also a proof of stake potential here if you want to operate a node. I think currently it only takes 42 ZenCash actually, which is a really small amount to get into a node actually. So if that's something you're looking at, it's a fairly cheap node to get. Now the rewards are not massive, of course, but you know, they're residual over time. The team here, it's a nice looking team actually. If you check out some of the experience that these guys have, they've actually got some pretty good stuff. Now for example, Rob, he's worked over at BitShares, BlockPay. Rolf here's been over at Cisco Systems. Jane really looking more probably at their marketing side of things, but she's worked in different fintech and venture capital, for example, and so on and so forth. So it's a good looking team and good advisors as well. For example, Charles Hoskinson. Now, if you've been paying attention, you guys know who Charles Hoskinson is. He's the guy behind Cardano and ADA currency. He has, of course, been pushing is the leader, sorry, of Input Output Hong Kong. So really good person to have on their team as a strategic advisor. So that gives me a lot of faith in the project as well. Now, if you check out the Reddit, people are very excited about ZenCash. One reason being is that they're currently in the process of rebranding. Of course, trying to get on more exchanges as well. Now, there is a video that has recently been posted on YouTube. It was a live stream done by the ZenCash team. This Steemit post here is a summary of the main points from that. But again, they are looking at rebranding. So they're going to have, you know, all the updates going with that. We know what happens when companies rebrand. We tend to see a lot of excitement around them. I don't think that excitement has anywhere near come through yet for ZenCash. The market cap is still very low. But they do go into talking a lot about different things. If you feel like, if you're a big ZenCash supporter and you want to watch that 1 hour podcast, you can check that out. Otherwise, come check out the Steemit post. It gives you basically what's going on in a much more succinct fashion. So that rebrand is underway. Now, ZenCash has been getting a lot of partners recently as well. So they've partnered with Welto to allow bill payment in cryptocurrency. Very cool. They have partnered with StormX. Now, they announced this at the Nexus Earth Aspen conference. In fact, they went to the Nexus Earth Aspen conference and talked there. A lot of our, some of our favorite players actually in the crypto space went to that Nexus conference, but they are working with StormX as well. Now, if you start looking to ZenCash, one name you're probably going to come across at some point is Palm Beach Confidential. What is Palm Beach Confidential, Ark? Well, that is a group, obviously in Florida, who have been talking a lot about it. They release a newsletter once a month for their insiders in their group, talking about coins that, you know, they think people should invest in. ZenCash is listed on that. This is, a lot of people have been saying this is a big reason behind the recent surge in ZenCash. Possible. It may be a direct correlation. Nevertheless, I think ZenCash has a lot more potential than the recent jump we've seen in price, although we're going to talk about that big jump here in a minute. And they're over on Evercoin as well. This, of course, allows for instant transactions into ZenCash if you don't want to go to a more centralized exchange service. Now, and they've also are working with Seastead in Tahiti. So this is an interesting idea about a floating islands project. Rock and roll. The oceans are the next frontier, as they say. So look, they're diverse projects all around the world. They're getting their names out there. They're doing stuff. Jane here, remember we just mentioned her on the team a minute ago. She's out doing conferences. She's talking to people. It's really exciting stuff. They're doing a lot. They're getting out there. The team's active. The community's active. This is one of those projects, because I see the really good team with it, it makes me think these guys can actually do it. They've got a big team of active people who are always going around, going to conferences, talking to people, much more so than, you know, some of the projects that we see out there. So that is really, really good to see. Their Facebook page isn't too active. Basically, most of the comments are good project, bad launch, good project, bad launch. Apparently they had a launch scheduled and they had to do a 7-day delay because they, at the sort of the 11th hour, found some coding problems. That happens. This is the crypto space. That doesn't worry me. When I see something like that, I go, well, they fixed it. So, you know, let's move on. Let's move on, to be honest. Okay. Their roadmap here really focused on developing better wallets, building their infrastructure, but really mostly focused, actually, a lot of it, at least, on their governance model, putting together a constitution, having elections. And so again, this is one of their big value propositions. We're going to be an awesome currency, platform, messaging service, publishing service with amazing governance. That is the value proposition they are, of course, offering. And again, it does need to be mentioned that they are building a platform here. So not only are they going to be a privacy coin, but they're also building a platform. So you're going to be able to build dApps on top of their platform, much like we can with some of our favorites, you know, Ethereum and Lisk and NEM, for example. So they are trying to offer much more to the picture here. Now, obviously, Zcash is a competitor, but Zcash is just money. Zcash isn't bringing more to the table than just being money. You're not going to be able to build dApps on Zcash, for example. So it's much more than Zcash. It's much more than Monero. And even though Monero's got amazing community and a lot of people really, really support Monero, it doesn't bring these extra value propositions with it. Now, something we might be able to compare it much closer to would be, for example, Komodo. And Komodo is doing fantastic right now. It's a very high market cap, has an upcoming ICO, and is actually kind of leagues ahead currently of what ZenCash is doing. But Komodo's been a leader in the space for a while, quietly, but building. Navcoin as well, aiming in a similar area, although Navcoin's privacy features are not as powerful as ZK Snarks. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, currently we are seeing ZenCash at below $20. pretty good buy-in point for it, but it may go a bit lower. You have to look at what happened here. We had a giant run up just the other day where it went from about $6 all the way up to about $25 in the space of just a few days. Probably as a result of what Palm Beach Confidential was talking about. People got excited. That push happened. Price has come back down quite a bit. Under $20 looks pretty decent. Market cap is still very, very low at $45 million, guys. If you want to go pick up some ZenCash, you can always rock over to Bittrex. It's doing 98+% of the volume at the moment. You can also pick some up on Cryptopia if you want to. Seems like a really, really interesting project. Low circulating supply at the moment, low max supply, low market cap, privacy coin, bringing a lot to the space. Connect the dots, guys. Good team. It's got a lot of potential, ZenCash. Let's see what the rebrand brings. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.